Help me, Mama.
Hi everybody, this is Emily for Help Me Mama. My husband and I were talking tonight about the script, I'm going to call it a script, of how we would discipline our children. So he was saying, as you might expect, that my script is too long. I used mucho words, and for our second oldest, especially, he's 2.5, I need to shorten the script. Of course, I want to pour all these gospel truths and talk about sin and our need for forgiveness and all these things. And Ivan's like, you're talking to a wall here, okay? So I understand that. Of course, on the other hand, my complaint about him is that, like, you don't do enough explaining, okay? So I was thinking about this, and I think that he is right. I do need to shorten my script. Not that he couldn't tweak his. I think, we agree. We both need to improve, right? So I was thinking about my script, and I feel like there are some core tenets that need to be there, but depending on the age of your child, some of these things can be communicated in as little as one word. So I wanted to go over those sort of tenets of what you need to communicate during discipline, and then go over how you can this is for me too, because I'm thinking with you, how do I shorten this up? Because my explanation is too long. So let's go over it. First, I have to couch my discipline in love. I think that that's just so important, and I've heard from many other moms. Discipline has to be within a deep and loving relationship. So even in the midst of discipline, I want my children to know they are loved unconditionally. And you can do that with as little as when they're toddlers, just putting your arm around them when you explain the discipline. Okay, so that could be the smallest gesture of love, holding their hand. Even when you're speaking sternly to them, holding their hand could do something like that. So because I'm wordy, I tend to tell my children, I love you, before and after we have a disciplined conversation. And I don't think that's terrible. I want them to know that I love them all the time. But sometimes if I want to be very simply understood, I realize I could shorten it to just holding their hand or putting my arm around them to show love, to communicate that love even without words. The next three are in the middle. That's action, motive, and then consequence and practice. So the action is explaining what they did. What they did was wrong. Now, let me just preface this with, you're going to have to gather your information. Sometimes you don't know the whole situation when you step into it, so you might have to ask the perpetrator, perp, what did you do? Ask brother, what did they do to you? Were you a part of this? So there's a whole investigation that goes on often before discipline happens. This, I'm briefly just talking about the actual disciplining conversation, not the investigating that goes on before it. So the action, you've gathered the facts already, and you say to the perp, your little toddler, you did this. So you disobeyed mommy. So all it could be is you disobeyed. If I need to shorten it that much. So that's the action. What was done that was wrong. The motive. Now with toddlers, you kind of have to explain their motive to them. When they're a little bit older, they're going to be able to have a conversation with you about why did they do that. Sometimes you have to help your kids understand their own motives, and especially in the toddler range. So you disobeyed mommy. You were being selfish, or you were, whatever it was. And as they get older, you want to explain, that selfishness is from your heart. The action of disobeying mommy comes, see, and this is what I try to explain to my toddler, and it doesn't work. the action of disobeying mommy comes from the sinfulness in your own heart. You have to ask God for help with that sin. You can't just fix the outward disobedience without addressing the heart issue. You have to find short phrases. You're actually teaching them these terms so that they, when they get older and you have these bigger conversations about disobeying God or rebellion or selfishness of the heart or whatever it may be, you sort of define these terms in toddlerhood. I'm finding that with my older one, he's 4. Since we've defined these terms and defined these motives in toddlerhood, when we get a little bit older, now we can have these fuller conversations. So action, what you did wrong. Motive, that comes from this. I think you did this because of this. Is that right? You can check with them. Then it's consequence, and with toddlers, practice. Practice. So this is the consequence of your action, and you have to show this was wrong, okay? The consequence is because I love you, this was wrong. And now let's practice what is right, okay? So with toddlers, I think it's so important. You can't just tell them that was wrong, here's your consequence. You also, sometimes there's just not time, like if you're in Target or whatever, you can't always practice. But I would say even in Target, you can practice coming when mommy says come. Like definitely just practice as much as you can the positive behavior that you're trying to train, the positive attitude that you're trying to train. So consequence and practice. So consequence shows that action was wrong. Okay? Disobeying mommy was wrong. Consequence. Let's practice doing it right. And I've talked about this before. You show what is wrong, you show what is right. I think that is so important. So how, and this is just me just talking through this, how do you shorten the script? Because I think all of these things are so vital. And then love at the end, love, the reconciliation. Let's hug. Mama loves you. Mama loves you when you were disobeying. Mama loves you equally when you obey and when we've practiced the right thing. Let's reconcile. Let's ask God for help, so it can be done. I'm just a little clumsy at my script so far. A friend and I were talking about how these wiser moms have just a wonderful and simple way of explaining things to their children. I think it comes with practice. I think those of us with young kids just don't have the practice, that experience, that wisdom. So I'm working toward it. But you can pray for me that the Lord would help me simplify that. But I think that these are, even if it's too broad, I would sort of rather explain too much than explain too little. And, I wouldn't want to leave out the practice. I wouldn't want to leave out the love. I wouldn't want to leave out the reconciliation. So it's hard, right? I think it's really hard. So I would say if you have these tenets, if you can shorten them up to 3 words each, and have your kids' eyes, have their attention, you might be able to shorten up your script. I think it's important to shorten the script because you don't want to overwhelm them. And I know that I have done that before where they're like, I can't even focus, you're using too many words right now. So short, sweet, simple words, tiny words. So you did this, you disobeyed mom. That shows you're being rebellious to mommy. You need a consequence. Let's practice doing it right. That would be short enough, right? So, in any case, this is tips for shortening the script because you know how it is, ladies. You say the same things to your kid over and over and over again. And what Ivan, my husband, said to me tonight is, I think you're wasting your time by saying too much. And if I'm wasting my time every single time the discipline happens, I'm wasting a lot of time. If it's not getting through to them, I'm really wasting my time. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. You can check my YouTube channel or my Facebook page for more videos. And please like and share and pass along these videos to a friend or a mom that you might know who could be in need of them. I want to be helpful to you guys.